Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hello and welcome back to the show. We are so excited to be joined by our friend here, Gina Crosheck. She's the owner of PrismsScape Gems and Healing Center based out of Iowa City. And we're excited to have her here to talk more about this metaphysical company that offers so many amazing different healing crystals, jewelry, gifts, and so much more. I know we're going to talk about energy healing too and all the work that you do. So Gina, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm just doing great. Thank you very much.
Well, pleasure to have you
We are.
here. Would you mind just introducing yourself to our
Thank you.
listeners to start?
So I am one of the owners of PrismsScape Gems and Healing Center. My husband and I opened the business 9 years ago, so we're now
Okay.
in our 10th year.
Wow.
And yeah,
Wow.
so we're very excited to be reaching out further than just the Midwest.
Great. Well, I want to hear, before we talk about all the work that you're doing and, of course, the shop,
Mhm.
I want to get to know you personally, if you don't mind. Could you share a little bit about where
Okay.
you grew up? And I want to know your journey, how, you got here, obviously.
Well, it's been an interesting one. So I grew up in Alabama, and the first 10 years were in Northwest Alabama,
Hmm.
along the Tennessee River. And then and while there, my father, when I was 18 months old, left us. And so my mother raised the four girls. And then when I was 10, she remarried and we moved to Birmingham and to a big city. And opportunities were very different from being raised in a very small town.
Yeah.
And so, and they had chosen the best school district in the state for us to buy a house in. And then there were just things, it's sort of like, and of course you're going to college.
Yeah.
One of the questions you was asked earlier was whether or not how you got to be a professional
Yeah.
as a child. And when I grew up, there was no choice. Our mother explained clearly,
Hmm.
you were going to go to college. Before you get married, you'll get a degree and you will be able to support yourself and make a living.
Ah,
So I was raised to be a working woman.
very lucky.
And yeah. And then I went to I had a choice of going to the University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa
Okay.
or the Birmingham campus. And at the time, the Birmingham campus was 4,500 students and a building, and I would have stayed at home. And I said, I'll go to Tuscaloosa. So I moved
Wow.
down the road and did a lot
Hmm.
there, but changed radically there. So I had done, so I was in mortarboard and in debate, and then Vietnam happened and Kent
Ah,
State happened. And I'm of the generation
yeah.
to where I was a very active uh, protester.
Hmm.
And so it really made a difference in terms of what kind of activities I chose to do. And then turns out when I was in my senior year, a professor, my advisor, who had moved to
Hmm.
Memphis, called me up and said, do you want to come to graduate school?
Yeah.
And I ended up going to graduate school and falling in love with my professor.
Oh my goodness, this is a juicy story. Wow, this is great. I love getting to know you, Gina.
Thank you. So,
So what happened then after this?
well, we were in Memphis for 5, 6 years, and he was one of these brilliant geniuses, and he got tired of sending master students off to PhD programs,
Wow.
and he had the opportunity to teach in a PhD program at the University of
Wow.
Wisconsin,
Hmm.
Madison. And I said, if you turn this job down, you can never again complain about sending students off for PhDs. And so we moved to Madison, Wisconsin. And I was quite surprised to see how cold it was up there,
Hmm.
you know. And our first winter there, 42 days below zero.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so I discovered that long johns and fur are very useful things to have. So,
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so now continue. I'm waiting for the punchline. This is getting good.
And so I taught public speaking for 7 years and primarily night students.
Okay.
And then one of my husband had a temper, and if things didn't go well, and one of his students, there was no good reason, but had difficulty in his comprehensives at the very end of his career, and my husband just was so upset. We He just said we're going to move, and
Mm-hmm.
so we did, and we had a choice between Rensselaer and New York and Iowa, and he had done his PhD work at Iowa. And so we came to Iowa in 1979.
Mm.
And I changed careers. I stopped teaching and joined a nonprofit. And one of the things that was interesting is I never wrote a resume until I was 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I thought was fascinating is I didn't know what I knew. And I had learned a lot along the way.
Yeah.
But until I actually wrote a resume, I didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for the Arc of Johnson County and learned to write grants. And then we were in a house that was too expensive at my insistence. And we, so I then applied for jobs, full-time jobs at the University of Iowa. And my first job was helping students with careers and help teaching them how to write resumes. And it was an internship program, and we wrote grants to build the program. And I loved writing
Hmm.
grants. And 7 years later, a job came up in the central grant office,
Wow.
and I moved over there and was there until I retired in 2013.
God bless. Oh my goodness. So you retired, but you didn't retire. You're still clearly working. You're doing so much at PrismsScape now. So
Yeah.
when did you, by the way, when did you, d discover all of this? The who got you into the Reiki and this past life regression and crystals? Is this something that you've always been, had a love of?
I knew about past life regression because my father was a mystic and would talk about past
Oh,
lives.
oh, okay.
And he would talk about Christ consciousness. And I sort of understood it, but didn't. But how I got into it is in October of 2002, uh, October 22nd, we got word that my oldest sister had died, and we later learned that she had been murdered. And then 5 days later, my husband passed away unexpectedly. He had been ill, but he wasn't supposed to, he was supposed to live another 6 months. But he had a heart attack.
Oh,
And so they say
yeah.
that trauma leads to spiritual awakenings sometimes. Oh, and my mother had had major surgery and we couldn't tell her for 2 weeks. And so I then kept hearing, go get a Reiki session. And I went and I got a Reiki session. And when I got on the table, the lady asked me, she said, so what is your intention for this? I said, I just want understanding. And this beautiful golden being opened the veil
Oh,
and showed me how absolutely beautiful it
oh,
is and that life goes on and that we're these big balls of energy and that are just amazing. We're different colors, but it never ends. The life continues, whether you're in this physical form or in another physical form.
Oh my
And
gosh.
when I got off the table, I said, I'm on a spiritual journey now. And then I proceeded to take as many classes as I could, starting with Reiki.
And are you a Reiki practitioner, Reiki master? I know there's different forms, and some people out there might be saying, "What is Reiki? What are you talking about?"
It's a beautiful energy modality that allows you to channel divine energy, universal life energy. And I am what's called a Karuna Reiki master, and I am a
Wow.
teacher. So I teach
Wow.
students. I've been practicing since 2004 and teaching since 2007.
Oh my goodness. And some
Yeah.
people may not even know the benefits of all this and all that you could help. And by the way, I just want to remind everyone, prismscape.com, that's PrismScape.com.
Yes.
Go to the website and we're going to find out more about her gems, the healing center, and talk more about the shop on Google. There's so many amazing things that you do, from the healing center to the shop, and we'll talk more about that, I hope, next. But still hearing your story. So here you are now, and you're fascinated with Reiki. You're taking your classes, your courses, and you decided to start helping people with this. What are some of the benefits of it?
Um, I've had people, um, probably the most memorable one is a young woman
Uh-huh.
who had been very ill with balance issues.
Okay.
And I started seeing her in 2008, and she wasn't ever supposed to be able to have children.
Hmm.
And in 2009, she was
Ah.
pregnant and delivered in 2010. And we just saw each other once a week. So I mean, once a month. And so it was things that you can't really pinpoint, but
Hmm.
um, when she delivered, her mother told the story about it. And so when this woman
Yeah.
called me up one day, we were leaving for North Carolina the next day. She calls me up and she says, I absolutely have to see you. And I'm going, why? She says, well, because my baby is late and I have to come see you. And so that was one of the things. And she delivered within a day. And so
Wow.
because the universal life energy is working with your own higher self to be able to know what you need, the person who's on the table needs. It's not something that I
Yeah.
discern. And I just have been amazed, and Reiki can do no harm. So people, they may not, they say, I don't believe in it. It's like it doesn't matter if you believe in it because it still works. And it has been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. This is fascinating. All right. Let me also point out here, the Instagram page as well, because I've also perused the social media. You're on Facebook, you're on Instagram under the same handle. So it's PrismsScape, PrismScape.com. Now,
Mhm.
moving forward, I know you want to discuss today a little bit about being in divine service, past life regression, crystals. So what is this all about? People listening today might, have heard of it, might not have. Let's talk about more of this work that you're doing to help people and how you could do it like this, over Zoom, right?
Yes. So so getting into crystals was one of those things where you're sort of surprised, but
Mm-hmm.
not. So I had been doing Reiki for 4 years and took an advanced Reiki class that included crystals.
Wow.
And my teacher said, ask them if they'll work with you. I
Okay.
did, and they started giving me their names. And she says, oh, you have a good connection with them.
Wow.
Well, then in 2010, I'm doing a meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden I'm in a huge crystal cave with all of the crystals,
No.
but as big, large beings. And they said, "We have been waiting for you. And it is time for you to take our message to
Oh my
everyone."
goodness.
And so I was like directed from my perspective
Wow.
to sell crystals, to open and introduce people to crystals and the healing, because they're all conscious beings, and to help
Yeah.
people begin to understand about crystals. And being in divine service is something that pretty much ever since I started this spiritual work I have been in. And our shop has been run
Mm.
on the and really been guided by the
Ah,
divine. In fact, I say that the angels are sort of in charge of this shop.
wow.
It's very different than most businesses.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, and we started the healing center just because people wanted a place to practice. And so, and when this opportunity came up, we rented a space, and well, I say the divine just brought it to us because we were having trouble finding a larger space, and all sorts of good things started happening,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we that's how we got here.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing. And
Mhm.
speaking of crystals, give me some examples of these crystals and the healing properties and how we use them. I just unfortunately was at my uncle's wake 2 days ago. He passed from cancer at 68, and I live in New York. He's out in Pennsylvania. We went to see the family. And when I got there, and I came, there was an open casket, and there was
Mhm.
a lady near the casket, and she had a little bag of stones or gems. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
what's that? She was putting them in his pocket. I said, what's that? She said, it's rose quartz. And I
Yeah.
feel like this is calming. I said, oh, I said, do you do Reiki? I've heard of people, who are energy. She's like, no, I'm not an energy healer, but I'm just connected to certain stones. And I was like, well, and I wanted to get more information from her, but, it was hard. We were at the wake, but
Yeah.
I was like, wow, what is she doing with these? Tell me the modalities and the properties of these types of crystals and what crystals in particular.
So each of them is different, but
Okay.
rose quartz is one of the most powerful
Oh,
crystals because it's all about unconditional love
okay.
and loving yourself.
Ah,
So when George and I got married in
uh,
2005, we had rose quartz hearts as our favor,
oh, wow.
with the little message about love, but it was also self-love because I was finding in my practice that people oftentimes love everybody else but not themselves.
Hmm.
And it was so interesting to discover
Yeah.
people, particularly women, are very willing to give and give and
Yeah.
give, and very seldom allow others to give to them. And so rose quartz is just a beautiful, in fact, stone. People ask me what's my favorite, and rose quartz is my favorite. And so you also have, like in terms of your uncle, one of the things, if you were here, and we'll have to figure out how to do it, but we'll
Okay.
send you a Mangano calcite
Oh,
because it is a beautiful stone for helping release grief
oh,
and
thank you.
for helping you forgive. One of the
Ah,
things about people passing that we have to always do is forgive them for leaving us behind. And so that stone, that
mhm.
is a stone that's very good at that.
Wow. Thank you.
And yeah, and another stone for grief is Apache tears, which is a black stone. And because the Indians, it's a black obsidian, but it's a
Okay.
special black obsidian.
Oh, wow.
And so it's really good for helping people again release grief and have a better understanding of what it's all about. And then you have just so many other stones that are just so remarkable. A lot of
Wow.
people use stones and put them into crystal grids.
Hmm.
And And because stones will take an intention, you can program stones to do different work.
Amazing. Well, we still have about 6 minutes left in the show, so I know there's so much more to get to. I hope we have more shows together, do we?
We do. We have 4 more shows
Oh my
together.
goodness, great. Well, this is like our beginner show, getting to know you. Do you want to share some of the
Yeah.
things that you're offering? I know you also have events, you have the shop. What did you want to say in our last, few minutes together?
So we have one of the things that we've been doing, we have a healing center with people who are doing things from
Hmm.
integrative kinesiology
Yeah.
to massage to meditation and energy scans and just such a variety of opportunities for people to receive healing. And we also do special events where we bring people in from outside.
Yeah.
So people get to be, like this weekend, we'll have a psychic medium reader. And that's one of the things that all
Wow.
I can say is I think all of us love psychics. And people may
Totally.
say, well, what does that mean? And how do people get to be a psychic? People can be
Yeah.
trained. Some people are naturally gifted. They see spirits as children, or well, this one woman who's going to be working with us this weekend, Kelly Rosenboom, she literally was just going about her life, and this person came to her in spirit, and it's like, you've got to tell my brother this. And it was about
Hmm.
the accident the brother had that had taken his life. And it's just one of those things where, but you can take classes
Yeah.
in mediumship
Hmm.
and channeling. I took classes in channeling and intuition, and I just think the whole world is just wonderful.
Oh, you have such a beautiful outlook and aura about you. It could
Oh,
feel, see, pick up just by talking to you here.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, one of the things that we've done with this shop is the thing that guides us is love. And so that anybody who walks through the door,
Yeah.
we do our best to let them provide a safe place
Hmm.
for them and to allow them, if they need to just let go, allow them to do that and to find comfort. So we're huggers. COVID interrupted that, but that is one of the things that we do. And we always do our best to provide safety for them and peace. A lot of times people will just come into our shop just to sit.
Hmm.
And it's a beautiful place. We will, one of the videos, we're going to have a video podcast and we'll show you the shop then.
I can't wait. Cool. We'll get to do like a live shot, walking around to see everything that
Yeah,
you do. Oh, that's
yeah,
beautiful. And I know you also, I just want to point out you do some like Facebook Lives, right? I see that
we
coming
do.
up.
Yeah,
Something's going on. There's an event this Saturday. Is that what it is on the
yeah.
10th? What is that?
That's a that's where the psychic medium is coming.
Oh,
And then
cool,
we'll
cool.
also, and she'll be doing readings for people.
Great.
And she's good. And so we're having her, and we'll also be highlighting or spotlighting Herkimer diamonds that come from New
Beautiful.
York. Well,
Ooh.
ours come from, I think, China, but yeah,
Oh
they're
my goodness.
beautiful. They're clear quartz that are double terminated.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much. Pleasure having
Mhm.
you here, getting to know you today. And for everyone out there who wants to reach out, go to prismscape.com. That's PrismScape.com. And on social media, the same name. And is there a phone number for the shop that you want to share?
319 2907.
Perfect. And the shop itself is based in Iowa City, correct?
Iowa City, Iowa. Yes.
Beautiful, but obviously you can also do virtual work like we're doing today. And to
Yes.
leave off, your quote, you gave us a quote here. Can I read that?
Sure.
You said, "Be the change you want to see in the world," and I have a dream. Those are beautiful.
Thank you.
Yay! Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for
Thank
helping
you.
us on our healing journey, and can't wait to learn more from you. And we'll be in touch. I guess I'll see you next week.
Okay, sounds excellent. Thank you so
Have
much.
a great day. To all of our listeners, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcasts on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.